There's two other people in this picture doing the whole hand on heart respect for the flag. Two of them are holding the American flag. If you see on the right, actually, that woman's holding the American flag, and the one there, you can see the stick where she's holding the American flag. And they're doing it. And if you look in the background, you see all those people, they're also looking towards the American flag during the anthem. If you look at the crowd, they're all standing up. They're all standing up. This is one person, one individual turning their back to the flag at this event. Everyone else looking at the flag and doing what Meghan McCain says is not allowed anymore. There was no outrage towards them. Where's the outrage towards these two white women? I don't see it. First topic I wanted to talk about is this person, okay?
So excuse an Olympian.
So there was an Olympian, right? An Olympian. Let's get a picture of it. I mean, the story is as old as time. I mean, I don't think like we need to get into the fine details of it. There was a protest at the Olympics. This woman right here, Gwen, not to be confused with Gwen Tennyson of Ben 10 fame. This person on the left here, they protested at the Olympics by turning their back to the American flag. They turned their back to the American flag. Now, personally, you know, I have an American flag in my background. I always saw the American flag personally as a symbol to represent what we strive to be in the pursuit of freedom, of the unfulfilled promise of the American dream that we continually try to push for. But at the end of the day, symbols like flags and crosses and political symbols all mean different things to different people. So, my back is turned to it. Hypocrite. Exactly. My back is turned to it right now. My back is turned to it right now. So at the end of the day, if her protest was for something I think is worthwhile, I find this perfectly fine. I find it non-objectionable. Number one is, of course, it's First Amendment protected speech. And I find the idea that we live in a country where at the Olympics, on the stage in front of the whole world, someone could do something like this and come back to the country and not be thrown in prison and be completely respected when it comes to their right to do that as a beautiful thing. In fact, I find that as the epitome of what America is supposed to represent, that you could disrespect that symbol as much as you want and you have the right to do it. Even if you disagree with it, I find that beautiful. I find that as the pinnacle of what the flag is supposed to represent, of what America is supposed to represent. Whatever, okay? Just stop going after me, okay? I'm bad with words. English language is difficult. That's my position on the whole thing. I think she was doing it for a good cause when it comes to social justice and the issue of racism in this country. I think her doing it, whether it would be at home at an NFL game or here at the Olympics, is the pinnacle of what America is supposed to represent when it comes to the First Amendment. Of course, it's First Amendment protected speech, and symbols represent different things to different people. Simple as. Now, that's my simple position on it. You don't see me over here crying, right? I'm not crying when I see when Donald Trump hugged the flag. I'm not crying because this person turned their back to the flag. And even if like somebody does a flag burning, and personally, I've always found flag burning distasteful. I have. If you don't, I don't care really. But I do. I've always looked at it and was like, always made me cringe a little bit. Made me go, oof. But you want to know what? At the end of the day, not hurting me, not hurting anybody. First Amendment protected speech. Who cares? Now, Meghan McCain had a different position on this. Now, when it comes to Meghan McCain, I want to be clear. The only reason we listen to Meghan McCain is because of her father and her last name. And it's very difficult for me to truly respect a political commentator whose whole career was built off of their parents and they had everything handed to them. I don't like silver spoon children. I really don't like that. I never have. I didn't like the Trump daughters and sons. I wouldn't be really a huge fan of Hunter Biden probably if he actually got further, like got deep into politics and started running on the national stage right now and stuff like that, and he got it through his father. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of Chelsea Clinton doing it, the dynasty stuff. I think there's a difference between, and that's not to say it's impossible for somebody to be born to a family of privilege and still find their own way. That I find respectable. Say that a famous politician had a son and their son said, no, I don't want to use your connections. I'm going to build my way up. That's character building. I like that. Anyway, the only reason we listen to her is because of the last name McCain. Point blank, period. She would be a random person out there, most likely, that none of us listen to if it wasn't for that fact. It's just true. You can say that, oh my gosh, that's so insulting, or oh my gosh, that's so mean. Okay. It's still true. Anyway, that's the only reason we listen to what she has to say. But she decided to comment on the matter. And I'm very interested in hearing that. And hearing the position of Meghan McCain. Let's see if we can get it. Right over here. Let's listen.
Crenshaw has a point with...
Oh, and Dan Crenshaw also whined. If anybody can find me the clip of Dan Crenshaw whining, I'd like to listen to that.
his criticism.
Yeah, and I agree with him. And I just want to first and foremost say that Dan Crenshaw is an American hero. He's a Navy SEAL that got his eye blown out, among other things, and was on, Navy SEAL, teams that killed terrorists and did incredible things defending our nation.
Okay, one second. Let me start from the top again. Somebody in chat just said something. Meghan McCain didn't have everything handed to her, Dylan. Are you aware that she and Sonny, I don't know who that is, are both on The View? I don't really watch The View that much, to be honest. I know there's Whoopi Goldberg and there's Meghan McCain. That's all I know. ABC doesn't just recruit anyone with an opinion. Otherwise, they have Hassan Piker on that shit, but instead The View is critically acclaimed. The View also has a lot of stupid opinions. And again, okay, let me ask you a question. How would The View have discovered Meghan McCain if it wasn't for her father? Would they have stumbled upon her doing down basement radio? Would she have started a YouTube channel? Hey everyone, this is Meghan McCain, and I'm going to talk about why the Iraq War was a good idea and how we need to stop disrespecting the flag. Would Glenn Beck discover her? Would she be the next Steven Crowder? How would she have been discovered? She was discovered through her father. She is known through her father. Point blank period. Now, I'm not saying that, she didn't choose that life, right? I mean, she could have tried to build herself up from the ground completely separate from her father. Didn't, but I'm sure she's built stuff on her own. But when it comes to, this type of thing, like The View, this 100% was because of her father. I mean, saying anything else, saying otherwise, is just being delusional. I mean, really? I mean, there's so many conservatives they could have had on this show that have more name recognition, number one, and number two, are a lot smarter. And that's not to say that I think she's particularly dumb. I just don't think she's the smartest conservative or the best representation of conservatism. There are people who could have done a lot better. She is on there due to nepotism. Point blank period. I just want to throw that out. I mean, it's the truth. And when listening to her, we just need to remember that she did not get to this position through the fact that she became recognized on a field from building from the ground up, from nowhere all the way to the top. That didn't happen. Just to be clear.
Yeah, and I agree with him. And I just want to first and foremost say that Dan Crenshaw is an American hero. He's a Navy SEAL that got his eye blown out, among other things, and was on, Navy SEAL, teams that killed terrorists and did incredible things defending our nation. Also, in regards to what he said about the Capitol, he said, quote, on Wednesday, the capital of the most powerful nation in the world has ever known was stormed by an angry mob. Americans surely never thought they'd see such a scene. Members of Congress barricaded inside the House chamber, Capitol Police trampled, and 4 Americans dead. A woman was shot near the elevator I use every day to enter the House floor. it was a display not of patriotism, but of frenzy and anarchy. So that's what he said about January 6th. So I don't actually know where everyone's getting that he somehow was okay with it. I think in regards to the athlete protesting, I've spent the last year and a half.
I guess she just wanted to praise Crenshaw. I don't think that at all was really related to the topic at hand, or even her commenting on what he said about the protester. Which, again, if somebody could link that, I'd like to listen to that as well.
Hearing every argument possible and understanding why athletes protest in the United States of America, like Colin Kaepernick. The problem I have is this woman is doing this internationally. And if anyone just saw Vladimir Putin's recent speech when he met with President Biden, he's using the propaganda that America is an irredeemable against us, saying, you think your country's so great over there?
They really just censor crap hole?
Look at BLM. Look at everything that's happening in your country. You don't even treat your people correctly at this.
So, wait, okay. The thing is, he's not wrong when he says those things. Just because you're being criticized by a country or a person you don't like, that doesn't make it wrong. Now, the thing is, when it comes to Vladimir Putin, everything he's saying is extremely hypocritical. Oh, you treat minorities groups bad. Anyway, let me turn around and continue these extremely homophobic policies and let Chechnya build concentration camps for homosexuals and round them up. It's not like he's saying anything from a point of he actually cares. Of course he doesn't. The same thing when they fund media like Russia Today or Sputnik or any of these things, Soapbox, or they have people like Richard Medhurst on. This isn't because they care about the issues. This is simply to demonize the United States, make the United States look bad, etc. That's the only reason they're doing it. It's not because they come from a point of caring. That doesn't mean that Russia Today has never made a valid point against the United States when it comes to criticism. In fact, happens actually more frequently than I would care to admit. The thing is, though, we can't just say now, because we're scared that Putin might use it against us, or they might use valid criticism against the United States, we can't do protests that could be seen by the international community. We can't do protests that lets the international community see what's going on here. When we look at apartheid South Africa, what helped end apartheid wasn't just protests domestically. They did protests internationally, as in they called out to the international community. Boycotts started. Sanctions rolled out. There was an international response. And that helped bring end to apartheid. Because, we live in a global world. Global economics, media, etc. All these things have an impact on social issues. So the idea that protests in the United States and the First Amendment should be restrained within domestic politics because we can't let the foreigners figure out our own personal issues because they might exploit them. You want to know the best thing that would shove it to Vladimir Putin, if you want to, on this issue, isn't to tell people to stop complaining on the international stage about racism. It would be to end this racism, to end the systematic oppression, to end police brutality. Now, it's a very roundabout way to try to get somebody on board to end these things, is appealing to shoving it to Vladimir Putin. But quite honestly, I don't care. I want to end these things so badly, I'll appeal to it. It also would make it easier for us to go on the world stage and criticize other nations like Russia when it comes to police violence. If we don't look at home and see police violence at our protests, see police violence against African Americans, see police violence against our population and reporters, etc. Not talking about an equivalence here, just saying it would be a lot easier. It would help deal with like naysayers on the international stage, right? Makes it a lot easier. That's the first thing. The second thing would be, I don't understand exactly why she has the stance here, but not internationally. Here's a great, let me give an example. In Myanmar, when the whole world was talking about Myanmar, and the Myanmar protesters held up signs to appeal to the international community, or Hong Kongers held up signs to appeal the international community, or protests literally anywhere. In, I believe, Nigeria, they had the End SARS movement that appealed to the same exact issue, police brutality. Lebanon, called out to the international community. The Blue Sudan movement. I actually interviewed some American Sudanese activists on that issue a while ago when I was working on the Gravel campaign. May that man rest in peace. Why is the standard different for the United States but not for these other countries? That in those countries, they can appeal to the international community. They can appeal to everyone else. They can have their people call out to the world to pay attention to what's going on domestically. But we can't. We can't do that because it could possibly be exploited. Again, the best thing we can do to undermine Putin's ability to do something like that is just to deal with these issues head on. We've had protests like this for decades, and it's always been like this, their fifth columnist trying to undermine the United States. You know what's undermining the United States? Oh, they're undermining the United States credibility. You know what's undermining the United States credibility? It isn't that protest. It's racism.
The same time where he's literally imprisoning people, and we're having our enemies and propaganda dictators using our own propaganda against us, which in turn turns into a real national security risk. My other problem with this is
practicing the First Amendment is a national security risk. This feels like something I would hear like Alexander Lukashenko say, or Vladimir Putin say, or the new military junta in Myanmar say, not someone who, you know, is on mainstream television on an American network.
I don't understand why we all can't have shared experiences in this space or have our own stories, because for some reason my relationship with the flag isn't allowed anymore. My love of the American flag.
Nobody said it isn't, and I don't know where this idea that protests like this destroys your patriotism. You want to look at this picture? Can we look at the picture again? The Olympics protest picture. The most recent one. Let's see. If we let's get the biggest one possible so I can really drive this one home. Let's really drive this one home. Number one. Oh, by the way, just want to point out, she doesn't hate America. This was a protest, okay? She doesn't hate the United States. Let's see if I can get this. Can I not open this? And you know what? We'll just zoom in, okay? Okay, you see this picture right here? Let's pay real deep, close attention to what's going on in this picture, okay? 1 second, let me help you guys out. Did any of you have Cahoots in school? This is for the Zoomers, okay? Everybody else is not gonna know this. Maybe this will help. You know, I got you guys. Don't worry. This will help you get it. Okay, guys? I'll give you some thinking time, okay? We'll try to figure it out. You notice anything about this picture? Anything? I'll give you some time to think about it, okay? I'll put some answers in chat. Okay, what else do you notice about this picture that would maybe be of relevance if Meghan McCain is saying, oh no, my relationship with the flag isn't allowed anymore? Oh my gosh, that we can't, like, love America, which, by the way, this person just said they don't hate America. Said it yesterday. But anything else that would be relevant? Ooh, I think I got it, guys. There's two other people in this picture doing the whole hand on heart respect for the flag. Two of them are holding the American flag. If you see on the right, actually, that woman's holding the American flag, and the one there, you can see the stick where she's holding the American flag. And they're doing it. And if you look in the background, you see all those people, they're also looking towards the American flag during the anthem. If you look at the crowd, they're all standing up. They're all standing up. This is one person, one individual turning their back to the flag at this event. Everyone else looking at the flag and doing what Meghan McCain says is not allowed anymore. There was no outrage towards them. Where's the outrage towards these two white women? I don't see it. Oh, well, I found this Twitter post with 2 likes that was so angry at. Please find me actual, like, any mainstream articles or anything like that saying these 2 white women are hate the United States or I guess are super racist. They don't exist. They don't exist. Same way back in the 1960s when that guy raised his fist at the Olympics, they didn't write a bunch of articles saying that white dude who was just standing there like, I guess I won bronze. There wasn't any articles like condemning him as the evil monster. So I don't know where she gets this idea that this is a show that her relationship with the flag, again, a symbol has different meanings to different people, is not allowed. There's two other people. 66% of the people on this screen right now has her relationship with the flag. And that's just the main people. If you look in the back, it turns to like 95%. Because you see everyone standing up, everybody lurking towards the anthem, probably many of them singing it. So I have no clue where she gets this idea from. Look at just any major sports event and you're going to see a similar thing. Because the thing is, Meghan McCain isn't getting like articles wrote about her saying, you're not allowed to salute the flag anymore. You can't do that. That's racist. That's evil. That's not happening. It isn't, okay? And your random Twitter post is not evidence of anything. I can find a random Twitter post saying that furries are destroying America. It doesn't make it true.
My love of the national anthem. And I know that it's very triggering for people and people get very upset when I talk about my dad for whatever reason, which is why I've really stopped doing it on the show unless it's really meaningful to me. But when I was growing up, every year on Christmas, he would tell me a story about when he was in prison being tortured and his cellmate, a man named Mike Christian, had sewn the American flag using scraps of material he found in prison into his prison garden. Every morning, they would say the Pledge of Allegiance to what was sewn into his prison garb. One day, the Vietnamese captors found that and beat the living crap out of Mike Christian to the point that his eyes and his body was so badly injured that he could barely move. And the second that he was able to move again, do you want to know the first thing Mike Christian started doing? He started re-sewing the American flag into his prison garb so his cellmates could say the Pledge of Allegiance and remember what they were doing and what they were fighting for in prison for America. So excuse me if I don't think some of these athletes are representing America in the same way. And for some of us, I will die for this. I will die on this hill that it is not appropriate or...
Okay, so first off, touching story. Did she say she heard that story at Christmas time? Can somebody confirm? Did she say she heard that story at Christmas? I'm sorry if, okay. Maybe I just grew up in a different household. I was raised by my grandparents. The man who raised me was a Vietnam veteran who grew up on a farm and castrated pigs. Okay? So, he was a pretty rough and tumble guy who had very strong beliefs about respecting the United States military and the flag. He would never break the Christmas season with just a random story about Vietnam and brutal torture and killings and death and destruction. That wasn't really something that happened in my household. I mean, I don't want to judge a Christmas tradition, but it feels like something that maybe like you would have on Memorial Day, you know? I don't know. Anyway, besides that, it's a very touching story. It's a very touching story. The people who beat those American soldiers are monstrous. That's disgusting. Torture is horrific. Those little acts of resistance are extremely brave. And I respect that immensely. That does not discount the fact that the vast majority of Americans still have your relationship with that flag. And they are allowed to, without condemnation. Easily. And that this woman that you're talking about is equally allowed to do what she's doing. You can disagree with it if you want to, but you immediately like come out with these athletes this athletes that. You don't even wait for like the woman to give a statement about why she protested. You have no clue. For example, the Colin Kaepernick thing really gets me. Because Colin Kaepernick actually went out of his way to be as respectful as possible with this protest. And every time I say that, I get this like kind of visceral reaction if somebody's on the other side of this issue. Because they're like, how can you possibly say that? He is kneeling during the national anthem. What about the troops? The thing is, he didn't start the protest by kneeling. He didn't start the protest by kneeling. He started the protest originally by sitting down, and then, once talked to by a veteran of the United States military turned it into kneeling, because that was something that troops did by the grave. So he was specifically tailoring his protest that he didn't need to. There was no demand from some higher court like, you must protest in this way. That's not a thing that happens. He specifically tailored his protest to be more acceptable and more respectful of the United States military. But all of that goodwill was thrown to the side anyway. It was completely thrown to the side. Completely. And so we wait till afterwards, and what does the woman say? I don't hate America. And then she explains the relationship. But no, we can't even wait for that. We need to lash out. We need to go after her. And you know what? Of course, Meghan McCain is not going to mention what this woman's position, the woman actually, the story is coming about, and how all these athletes are doing their free speeches now and do it on the international stage, and they're undermining the United States. And this is a national security issue because they practice the First Amendment. Ridiculous, man. I feel like she's about to like slide into like McCarthyism, just straight up on like we need to go after these communists in Hollywood. This is wild. This is bizarre to me.
America. So excuse me if I don't think some of these athletes are representing America in the same way. And for some of us, I will die for this. I will die on this hill that it is not appropriate or patriotic.
I feel like the die for this thing is a little. I mean, I think thankfully she followed up with die on this hill, but I don't really see Meghan McCain in the trenches. No, I don't really.
To go to a foreign country where you're supposed to be representing America and act like it's just about you. It's not about you. It's about all of us.
I think she is also a veteran. I'm going to double check that.
God, man. Whoopi Goldberg is always hit or miss for me. At some points, I'm like rolling back like, yes! The other points, I'm just completely just face in my hand. I can't deal with it. It's always one or the other. It's always a coin flip of what I'm gonna how to do Whoopi Goldberg. It's like Bill Maher. It used to be Bill Maher. For a while, he was a coin flip for me. Nowadays, it's like playing like what's a better thing? It's like maybe more of a slot machine. Like maybe once in a blue moon, you'll pull the lever and it'll actually have a decent take. Maybe once in a while, if we're lucky, he'll have a decent take. Anyway, Meghan McCain's position is ridiculous. Thoughts on American agencies like the CIA torturing our opponents, though? Dylan, it's not magically okay, but not for them. I wrote essays in college about how torture is ineffective, barbaric, and disgusting. I've always had a stance against torture. Me condemning the torture, another country torturing people is not an endorsement of the United States torturing people. I'm against torture across the board, not only because of its barbaric nature, but also because it doesn't really work.